Hi, and welcome to Anne's Family Recipe. Today I'm sharing with you my take on Panera Bread's Broccoli Cheddar Soup. My first step is to finely dice a sweet onion. So most of the recipes I saw online called for about half of a medium onion. Mine's pretty small, plus I really like that flavor, so I'm just gonna use the whole thing. So I'll get started on that, and then we're gonna cook that in some butter on the stove. So in my Dutch oven, over about medium-low heat, I have half a stick of unsalted butter that's starting to melt, and I'm gonna add my onions to that and cook them until they get translucent and nice and soft. While my onions cook, I'm going to chop my broccoli. Does anybody else think of Dana Carvey when I say that? Do you remember chopping broccoli? Nobody? Anybody? Comment below. So I'm gonna chop up 2 crowns of broccoli here. Again, referring to several recipes online, I noticed that most of them said about half a pound of broccoli. This came as a pound, but they also would say in parentheses about 3 cups, and I think this is gonna be the perfect amount. Plus, I'd rather have more than less. So I'm just gonna chop these into very small, kind of bite-sized florets, and in the end, we will puree some of the soup too, so they'll get broken down even more. The kitchen smells so good. One of my favorite aromas is the smell of onions and butter cooking. So they're coming along nicely behind me. And the last veggie I have to chop is some carrots. So I actually have baby carrots here. I'm going to take a slight liberty here visually from classic Panera Bread broccoli cheddar soup, and I'm just gonna dice these into like coins, just because it's gonna be way time consuming if I make these into little matchsticks. But you could do that, or you could even take whole carrots and grate them, however you wanna do it, just so they're in very small pieces. To my softened onions, I'm just gonna sprinkle in a 1/4 cup of all-purpose flour, stir it around to coat the onions, and allow it to cook just for a minute or two to kind of get that raw flour taste out. And this is gonna act as our thickening agent to make a nice creamy soup. So for my liquids, I'm kind of meeting in the middle. I used 1 cup of half and half, and then 1 cup of regular milk. You could use 2 cups of regular milk, 2 cups of half and half. I thought I'd split the difference to make it kind of healthy. So I'll pour these liquids in, and then I'm gonna use the same measuring cup to measure out 2 cups of chicken bone broth. You can use whatever you can find, chicken stock, chicken broth, or I've been trying this chicken bone broth in the new year. It's supposed to be a little bit healthier for you. So we'll add our liquids. I'm gonna bring my liquids to a simmer and allow them to start to thicken, and then I'll add in the carrots and the broccoli, and this will all cook together covered for about 20 to 25 minutes until the veggies have totally softened. I also have to shred up my cheddar cheese. So I broke it in half to make it easier, but I have 1 8-ounce brick of sharp cheddar that I'm just gonna grate myself. Now you can definitely buy pre-grated, but I've heard that the cheese melts a little bit better and it's a little bit smoother when you grate it yourself. Also, I read a good tip online that if you add it over very low heat, it's less likely to have sort of a grainy consistency. If you add fresh cheese over a higher heat, then it might have kind of a funny texture. So I'm gonna try that out today too. So we'll just grate up these 8 ounces of sharp cheddar. So my liquid is almost to a simmer. It's getting nice and hot, and it's starting to thicken up slightly too, which is perfect. So to this, I'm gonna add my diced up little carrot coins and broccoli florets, and then cover it and cook them for about 20 to 25 minutes until they're nice and soft. Okay, so let me get you up to speed as to where we are in our soup making process. So before I allowed this soup to simmer for the past 20 minutes, I just didn't think there was enough broth in there. So I added an extra cup of chicken broth and an extra cup of milk because this is kind of the main component of our dinner tonight and I just wanted there to be more. So I added that extra liquid and put the cover on top of my pot. I reduced the heat to low and then allowed this to simmer for about 20 minutes, and my broccoli and carrots are totally fork tender. It smells delicious, but I just gave it a taste and it definitely needs to be seasoned. So next I'm gonna add a little salt and pepper, and then I'm gonna puree it a little bit with my immersion blender. Lastly, I'm adding in my 8 ounces of shredded sharp cheddar cheese and a pinch of nutmeg. And that's it. So I'm just gonna stir my soup for a couple minutes, allowing the cheese to melt, everything to incorporate. I'll check it again for seasoning to make sure it's salted enough, and then we're gonna serve it up with some crusty baguette. So I'm back after dinner time, and I have to tell you that this broccoli cheddar soup was a total hit. My son Jack couldn't stop saying how amazing it was, and my daughter Emma even said, "Mommy, this tastes better than Panera," which was like the ultimate compliment because of course Panera broccoli cheddar soup was what I was craving to begin with. So the fact that I could recreate something so similar makes me super happy. This soup was really creamy. It had a nice fresh broccoli flavor, which I thought was a little bit different and better than Panera Bread soup actually. My husband said that he wishes there was a little more cheese in it. I thought it was awesome, but if you want that extra cheese, you could definitely add in another 4 ounces or so, about a half a brick of additional sharp cheddar, or even play around with other kinds of cheese. This is a little bit unconventional, but I honestly think that a little bit of like yellow American or Velveeta would be awesome in here to get that super creamy texture and sort of that unmistakable flavor too. Not that that's what Panera uses, but I don't think it would be bad. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel and give this video a thumbs up if you like today's recipe. Thank you so much for joining me here in my kitchen, and I'll see you again soon with another family recipe.